Hi everyone, today we're going to make an extension for Amos Kittens. This will allow you to port over your old extensions to Amos Kittens, and we will be able to re-implement those extensions that do not exist for Amos Kittens. Amos Kittens is using C code, and we can't use the assembler code written in the original source code. We have a tool for that will help us do what we need to do. So this is what we are going to focus on now, is to show you how that tool works. The tool is very old actually, but it was created actually before I started on Amos Kittens. So the tool didn't originally produce the files I needed, but it was during my research and development phase which produced different types of ID what I can produce with those. So but let's get started. So we'll go into our directory opus here, and we will create a directory called AmosCraft, or make a directory here, which is in a project folder. So we need a new directory for our new project. Because there's no, we're not using an IDE, so we have to do some stuff manually. That's just how it is. Because we don't need the info file. It's very nice and cute, but we do not need it. So on Amiga you can generate libraries more or less using an XML file. The XML file is not very big. It has several, it's called methods here. They are actually function pointers, if you know what that is. If you don't know what the function pointer is, it's like a procedure if you're writing in Amos. So basically every time you open a library you have to obtain an interface. You have to release the interface when you're done. When the library closes, it uses export, and we have our own two functions: make a lookup table and free lookup table. These are the special tables for Amos Kittens, and these are the only functions that Amos Kittens have to have. You can also add all your extra commands here. Those can be useful from C programs, but we don't need them for Amos Kittens. So, but you need make lookup table and free lookup table. Okay. So we probably want to copy this. We need to rename it. We need to edit this file. So one thing you have to be very careful about here is that upper and lower characters are important. So that's why I'm going to do it manually. Craft not do a text replacement. Craft. So the include file, that's what we're going to use here. That's the craft.h. Craft So these are changed, and then we can save. Save this. Now there's a tool for Amigos that's called IDL tool. We're going to use, and we're going to use this on the Kitty Craft extension. So this generates a lot of files. You can see the IDL tool page. You see all the stuff you can generate with this tool. So this is pretty cool. As you can see, this tool uses the Hyperion copyrights, and we don't want that. You want to insert your own copyrights. So to inform people what you want people to do with your source code. And you'll probably want your own credits. For this we use the update script, and we have the install script, we have the strings, and we have the stack. These are the ones we need. We want the list and list C. We'll generate some of that stuff we want in those files, but basically we can copy them for now. Okay, and we want to make file. So the make file here is very basic. It generates, compiles the obtain, release, lookup table and free lookup table, and the one we have here compiles all those. So we want to copy those. We can just copy this one and replace the one there. So we're going to regenerate those files anyway, so you can just delete them. Let's look at the update script. We can replace turbo with craft. Craft from top, replace all. Turbo. Run update. Let's have a look. Okay, so this doesn't contain any copyrights, but we have Kitty, compact, vectors, list. Yeah. Edit init. Okay. Main. Yeah. So this one has replaced the copyright, and as you can see, it uses the RPL tool with recursive to do this, and this one you will have to find on my GitHub. So this is on the Koval GitHub repository, or my account. So you will find RPL there. This is actually a command that was made for BSD, I think. I found it very easy to use and a lot more easy than other tools, so I just wanted one simple tool to do that text replacement on many files. So I could just run it in this path actually. Let's just do that and see if we can just fix those issues. Yeah, so now we have fixed those problems. The copyright problem, you can type make and you can see immediately you're getting errors. So it talks about obtain. Again, we can just borrow stuff. We don't need to really worry about those. Copy. Replace all. And this. I copied some .o files so we make clean, just to delete those files that was generated before, just in case. So we now have a clean project. Let's try again. Make. Hooray! It builds most of the stuff. So we have the X turbo we don't have. That's because it should be Xcraft, and we need a file. Okay, we can get back to that one later, but let's just for fun just try to build it. Okay, so the next thing you will notice is that it complains about revision. So to fix that, we just type make revision. This causes make to let's see in the make file. Revision. So this creates a version number for our library. Now you're getting lots of other stuff you have to fix. So in the init stuff there's yeah, and that also it wants the file library craft, and it wants stuff to be installed before you can actually make anything. So let's fix that. And includes it wants a directory called libraries. In libraries it wants a file called craft.h. Okay, to fix that we can type install and then type make. So it looks for kittycraft.libraryversion.h, no such file directory. That's really strange, but I think what it has done is turbo. Yeah, it has generated those turbo files. And this we cannot use. So let's delete those and fix the make file. Let's replace turbo with craft. Probably should be lower letters, but it's okay. You don't need to worry about it. It's I like a camel case anyway. Yeah. In case you wonder, so long as it isn't put in the name isn't put into the library itself, you're fine. Amigos doesn't care about upper lowercase on file names. So you have to make revisioning one more time. Okay, so this bumped craft library this time. Let's try again. Okay, cool. So we have eliminated a lot of issues, and then we start complaining. See, EDL tool is far from perfect. It actually sucks because yeah, it wants to re-implement the library, and the library is already declared in the SDK, and we have to call the library something else. This is the library base. It's not actually so that's just the underscore library. I think actually I think we can actually replace we probably shouldn't replace this, because here we have the Kitty Craft library. It has been generated correctly, so it's stupid to replace it, but we have to walk through all down the errors and make sure it uses the correct struct for the library base, which is underscore library, and we have to cast it to the right library. We have to do this on all cases where there are library base. Okay, here's some fun stuff we can going to change, but we don't have to worry about that now. Let's just try to build. So 99 libbase node blah blah blah. Libbase is defined here, and it should be underscore library base. And we have to cast it to the correct struct. So basically why we have a struct here is that you can extend your library base with other stuff. So I think it's a size of some statement somewhere here too. You can check that at once, because it should be size of underscore library. Otherwise you can risk having too little memory allocated for the structure, which is going to hold data. This will cause the library to corrupt memory. It's a very important change. I struggled with this very much when I made the cat whistle driver. It's caused all sorts of corruption, and I still haven't found all the corruptions that in that project. I hope Ian did a good job with it, so fixing that up. That's all I can say about that. I don't. Okay, so that's really good. So what you're seeing now is that we are getting a lot of stuff. It talks about not having all those functions in the CMD list, and it talks about turbo because we are using the turbo stuff, and this we have to fix again because we have a little project here. It's the Amos extension to ASCII project. I don't know if you use this or not, but basically there are some test cases here which just shows you how to use it. Basically the command, the option, and the file you want to use. So let's do extension. I'll just show what it does. So this one can extract some information from your extensions, Amos extensions, your old extensions, or any extension really. So it would not use any of the original code. It would actually, the token numbers are not in the original files, they are actually calculated in the source code. So this makes it a bit tricky. This one tool could generate the wrong token numbers. We have to check that when we used it. So basically what you need to do is Amos Pro in a new list, because the list here has the wrong commands apparently. Oh yeah, I didn't remember that, but yeah, you don't have to type in the file name. It does actually provide a file selector. We need Amos Pro Crafts. Yes. So here's the list of the commands we need. Because this was very stupid to put this into the shell like this. We need to put it somewhere else. We need to put it in a file. So, but Amos Pro, output system, Amos Pro So we are generating new source code from old binary. It's some method used in many reverse project that you can look at the old binary and try to extract information from it. Because we are producing something completely different, we are it's not a carbon copy. It's we are taking information from the old libraries and making something new from it. So and we are not actually using the original source code. So yeah. That's the list, and we need a header. Oops, header and list. Let's have a look in our RAM disk. That's the header. It has one junk line and the list. Yes. That's all the commands. So let's try again. Make. Yeah. Let's fix the header. Let's fix the list. Yeah, we have a problem. So apparently my program is not converting the dot into the correct and we probably have the same problem in the same list. Let's swap. Okay, so now it complains about not having those commands, and that makes perfect sense to me. Kitty, obtain, release, and make table and free table. It complains about those. So let's fix that. I believe I replaced those commands, and that's why we have turbo, kitty turbo should be kitty craft from top, replace, save. Same thing with the other files. Lookup table, replace all, save, and release. Okay. Did I miss anyone? Obtain. Okay. And we need to do it for obtain. Top, replace. Yeah, you can probably use the RPL tool again. Somebody might actually create a tool which scripts to make that work easier. Yeah, but yeah. But basically we have all the commands, craft commands, complaints that area do not exist. That's perfectly understandable. So what do we do? That's here in the list H. We look at craft. Now we need the commands. So let's just copy the commands to the craft. Let's remove the extension. Extern. Remove extern. Remove the next line thing. let's have a look. So to make this work, we need some include files, as you can see, and some other stuff. Let's copy the stuff over here. Now we have, and then we need to make those two functions. Let's just copy the routines. This is just very basic routines, which just returns an error 22 if you try to call those commands. It might be easier to start from bottom and go upwards. So this is where we need to insert our own code. I would suggest reading the manual for a craft or document development documents. See what the commands is doing. It would be good to write test cases just to make sure they work as documented. I would also recommend running source code, which because there's also undocumented stuff or things that might not be in the manual or in the documentation. So you need to run code to see if is there anything you missed or something that isn't working correctly. You might find some surprises. So there's a Guru alert. We can't use the Gurus on Amiga S4 because then the mouse doesn't work. But so we have to implement the system-friendly version of that. Maybe open a window and display the same text, and that we can do. We can probably also open a screen, hide the workbench screen by that way, and display the box there. Do it in a system-friendly way. So most of the time those gurus they're just for displaying messages. They aren't actually dangerous. So but in a system you don't know. So but luckily for us, we are not forced to use the original code. We have to make some assumptions about the intent of the developers and go from there. And if it isn't working, okay, you didn't crash your computer, so that's because if it should have generated an unrecoverable error and terminate your system, yeah, really? No, not in this day and age. Come on. But we can, what we can do is we can quit Amos Kittens if, for example, you get a red guru or something like that. You don't terminate the computer just because you have unrecoverable request in a basics program. I don't know. We don't. So I have no idea what those commands are. I really didn't use a lot of the extension. I pretty much did the fractals, and I think that was pretty cool, and stuck with using the fractals. I only used a little tiny part of the craft extension, and the same with the turbo extension. I used the range command, and I pretty much forgot about all the other commands. I know somebody put a lot of work into those extensions, and yeah, I guess. But those things were provided with the Amiga format, and yeah, different type of magazines. So sorry, I got most of my extension back then because I didn't have any internet, and I didn't always get the documentation, so I know. So I usually ended up doing the stuff that was in the example, so that was provided with the extension. Fundamentally, yes. So I was happy didn't actually know about anything else. Oh my. Yeah, let's just click on through. So just doing this. I was going to maybe have it to generate this as well, and we could do that. I mean, so I probably spend a bit more time on the extension thing, and we can generate at least the basic stuff, and then you wouldn't have to do all this stuff because it's just time wasted. I mean, if you the less time you spend on this stuff, the more time you can actually implement stuff. So yeah. I think that would be a very, very, very good idea. Wow. Yes. It is done. We have. Let's try. Make F clean. Oops. Make clean. but we have a library, so good. That's that. We have now generated a library, and of course we have a little problem. Since the library isn't loaded yet, we have to do Amos Kittens and have a look here, and that's have a look here, and that's the commands. Amos Kittens CPP, and we have to look here. So in our project we have we are loading the compact into 2, we are loading turbo into 12. I'm not sure which number, but we have to add a line. We could write, there's nothing stopping us from writing kitty craft. But something like that. Let's say kittycraft.library, but we will probably use the configuration files from Amos Pro, so you can use the original tools. So it's going to be kittycraft.library.lib most likely, and that's up to you, since it translates the name anyway. So that's how it was done. We translating names in open extension, open I was pretty sure it was in maybe it's in it's the wrong project. So OS Amigo is in it. Open. I just want to show you what it's doing. So open extension is primarily removing some words. This search, Amos Pro lib, and this. Then it adds a new prefix and a new suffix. The new prefix is kitty and the new suffix is library. So it translates the library from the Amos Pro name to Amos Kittens. It doesn't load the Amos Pro, just so you make that clear. This is translating. So that means you can use both the names. You can use the new name or the old name. It doesn't really matter. It knows what it's doing. So yeah, that's basically how that works, and that's that. So I hope you are able to make your own extensions and start working on that if you have your own extensions you want to implement for Amos Kittens. Yes. And I have to do the heavy lifting of the sound music extension, I think, because that's, and there's a music craft extension. Yeah. So there's lots of stuff to do. We want to recreate the old Amos, and really new stuff is secondary to that, but not prohibited. Because there's the issue with the token numbers. For compatibility, you would want token numbers that are compatible with Amos Pro, which means that you will probably want to make an Amos Pro extension first, then compile that for the 68000 processor, then generate the files we need for Amos Kittens. So it would be a two-step process. Let's say if you didn't want to make a compatible extension for Amos Pro, you can make your own extensions with so you would need a pointer, a 32-bit pointer, which is what it expects in the table, and then you can have very compact tables. The table is of course 6,000 bytes, 7,000 bytes, so not a lot. It's a short. So short is int 16, 16-bit. So if it was a int 32-bit, you couldn't do it if the table was that big. But since it's an integer and a short, we are able to make those tables pretty easily, and that's how it works. So I hope you guys learned something and are able to use this new knowledge to produce more content, and also if the project moves faster, we are maybe looking at an editor and tools for Amos Kittens that would be very useful for Amos developers. This is the only free open source Amos implementation that isn't bound to the to the trademarks and original assets and all that stuff, and the legacy license legacy from Amos Pro. Since we are all making all the source code ourselves from ground up, or rewriting stuff from zero, it's essentially our own work. This is the good thing about it. We don't need to worry about copyrights, trademarks, and we don't need to think about patents, because patents, at least in Norway and France and the EU, only will last for 20 years, not 30 years. So these are, forget it. Patents are dead already. Of course, if you want to implement AOZ stuff, then you have to be careful, because then if you do the new stuff that the AOZ, then we have to think twice, because then there's something legally binding to those things. But we can do our own stuff. We are free to do that, and of course Franza is always welcome to contribute to this project and have provide its own stuff, or we can't distribute anything that's tainted in our project, so that would have to be something he makes and you can download from his sites, tools and etc. That's possible. We can't have a big issue about the license. The license has to be in my opinion, because we want the source to be open, free, and provide opportunities for developers, which of course, if it sold my work, it would suck. I would say it would suck, but in another way, if you sold my work and something grew out of it, I think that would be really cool. So there's some but if you're selling the work and it's free available somewhere else, then you're ripping off some people. Basically, you're not ripping off me, you're ripping off somebody else. So yeah, if you do that, you're an AO, but you're not really taking money from my pocket. You're taking money from the people you scam. So in that way, I'm not responsible for that in that case. So if you add value to the project and make it your own, all the better, in a sense. As long as you don't rip off people. I mean, if you're taking something free, repackages, provide your own for malware, and they get screwed. Yeah, they get screwed, and yeah, I don't like stuff like that, and I pretty much would really hate that happening. That's also always a risk with open source. That's nothing you can really do about. So yeah, that's all I have to talk about today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something, and I hope this project will grow with your new knowledge. Bye bye.